Welcome back to The Beat. I'm Alicia Menendez in for Ari Melber. It appears that special counsel Jack Smith's January 6th investigation into the ex-president is now zeroing in on the role Donald Trump's attorneys played. We have new reporting from the Wall Street Journal citing people familiar with the matter. The federal prosecutors are looking at how Trump's lawyers pressured state legislators in states Donald Trump lost to send fake Trump electors to Congress. During the January 6th committee hearings, Congressman Adam Schiff summed up that fake elector scheme and its role in the coup plot.
No legitimate state authority in the states Donald Trump lost would agree to appoint fake Trump electors and send them to Congress. But this didn't stop the Trump campaign either. They assembled groups of individuals in key battleground states and got them to call themselves electors, created phony certificates associated with these fake electors, and then transmitted these certificates to Washington and to the Congress to be counted during the joint session of Congress on January 6th.
Okay, we all know the fake electors plot that launched in 7 swing states ultimately failed. But there was a concerted and organized effort to carry that out by not only Donald Trump himself and his campaign, but importantly, his outside lawyers, led by election conspiracy theorist Rudy Giuliani. Jack Smith's team recently sat down with Giuliani for an 8-hour interview. The interview was conducted under what is known as a proffer agreement. In that interview, prosecutors agree not to use anything the witness says against them in a prosecution. The new report from the Wall Street Journal adds that in addition to Rudy Giuliani, Jack Smith's team has also been asking witnesses about Trump's lawyers, Jenna Ellis and Kenneth Chesebro. The reporting comes on the heels of a drumbeat of news about the special counsel focusing part of his investigation on the fake electors plot. Earlier last month, 2 Nevada fake electors testified in D.C. before the federal grand jury. The chair of the Nevada Republican Party and the vice chair were reportedly offered immunity in exchange for their testimony. And last week, there was reporting that a key Trump campaign advisor who played a central role in coordinating the fake elector scheme is now cooperating with federal prosecutors. It is against that backdrop. The Wall Street Journal reports the federal prosecutors have issued subpoenas and asked witnesses, in particular, about Trump lawyer Sidney Powell and her efforts in overturning the election. The report also says that federal prosecutors asked Rudy Giuliani about Powell specifically during his marathon interview. Now, you may remember Sidney Powell played a key role in trying to subvert American democracy in 2020 by pushing baseless and bizarre conspiracy theories.
It's Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you can get the incredible iPhone 14 Pro Max on us with my plan. So you get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez.
The Wall Street Journal also reports that federal prosecutors questioning Rudy Giuliani, quote, were interested in a December 2020 meeting in the Oval Office during which Powell pitched a plan to have the U.S. military seize control of the voting machines. That December 2020 White House meeting, in which Trump and his attorneys strategized over last-ditch efforts to overturn the election, was also a focus of the January 6th committee.
On Friday, December 18th, his team of outside advisors paid him a surprise visit in the White House that would quickly become the stuff of legend. The meeting has been called unhinged, not normal, and the craziest meeting of the Trump presidency. They brought to the White House a draft executive order that they had prepared for President Trump to further his ends. Specifically, they proposed the immediate mass seizure of state election machines by the U.S. military.
In the short period of time that you had with the president, did he seem receptive to the presentation that you were making?
He was very interested in hearing particularly about the CISA finding and the terms of 13848 that apparently nobody else had bothered to inform him of.
I was asking, like, you claiming the Democrats were working with Hugo Chavez, Venezuelans, and whomever else.
What response did you get when you asked this panel and her colleagues where's the...
A variety of responses based on my current recollection, including, can't believe you would say something like, things like this, like, what do you mean, where's the evidence? You should know.
By all accounts, Jack Smith and federal prosecutors are leaving no stone unturned in their sprawling criminal investigation into attempts to subvert democracy. From the fake electors plot and the role Trump's lawyers played in their several attempts to find a way to keep Donald Trump in power, the special counsel is looking at it all. Sarah Krisoff served as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Alima Stahl is the justice correspondent for The Nation. Both join me now. Thank you both so much for being here on a almost holiday weekend. Sarah, what is the significance of focusing on pro-Trump lawyers? What does that tell you?
Interesting. I mean, they have a lot of material here to work with. They are going after, they have to be careful about going after lawyers, right? So generally your communications with your lawyers are protected. So the fact that they're choosing to interview these lawyers, they're seizing devices from lawyers, they're searching emails from lawyers, that tells me they have a real strong basis to sort of breach that privilege between the lawyers and any client.
What does it tell you?
Oh, well, first of all, we're back into the MAGA means making attorneys get attorneys kind of situation, right? Which is always fun. But what they're going for here is Trump's main defense. Because what he's going to say to the fake elector plot is that, look, it wasn't me. I was following the advice of my attorneys, right? So this goes to what I call the wino lawyer defense, right? If you say you don't want to pay your taxes, right? You can't just say like, well, I don't want to pay my taxes, and three-finger Jim over there says that actually tax law is unconstitutional, I don't have to pay it. If every other lawyer in the room is saying, no, you have to pay your taxes, you can't just choose to believe the random one who's telling you what you want to hear. So what they're probably investigating while they're going deep on Giuliani and Powell is to try to see, was Powell the only person saying this crazy stuff? Because if so, that's not a good defense for Donald Trump.
Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani. I mean, 8 hours. What is it they are trying to learn from Rudy Giuliani in those 8 hours? And for those of us who did not actually get law degrees but watched a lot of Law and Order, this idea of a proffer agreement, sitting down, being told, whatever you tell us is not going to be used against you. How does that actually play out?
So the proffer agreement gives Giuliani some protections. They can't use the information he provides directly against him. There are lots of ways, frankly, they can use the information. They can use the information to follow leads. They could use the information if Giuliani is charged and he then took a position that was contrary to what he said in that meeting, then they could use that information against him.
So if he had good lawyers, where would they, in prepping him, put up the guardrails?
So first of all, his lawyers should have anticipated most every question in that meeting before that meeting happened. They should have essentially rehearsed what was going to happen in that meeting, gone over it, and particularly rehearsed sort of the extremely thorny areas that were to be expected.
Talk to me about those thorny areas. What is it likely that prosecutors want to begin to get into?
Well, as she was saying, there is a bound of attorney-client privilege, right? And there's stuff that Giuliani shouldn't talk about or shouldn't be used against Trump to the extent that Giuliani was acting as one of his attorneys. And so that kind of sets the boundaries of what they're getting at, right? The other thing that I think is happening is that you proffer the immunity so Giuliani can't take the fifth, right? So he kind of has to answer your questions. in terms of what they're asking him about, again, like I think we're really going in deep in terms of who told Trump what? Did Trump direct these people, go find me a way to make fake electors, or was fake electors presented to him kind of without his direction, right? If it was presented to him, again, who was presenting it? Was it just Giuliani and Powell? Were there other peoples? What was Cipollone saying? Like, they're trying to get a sense of what information Trump had before Trump made his disastrous decisions to try to overturn the election.